So we'll start our session today by paying our obeisances to His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we are in our journey of chapter 10, and chapter 10 has 42 verses, and the title is The Opulence of the Absolute. Now, today we will be covering the last section of the opulence of absolute. Yeah, so we'll wrap up chapter 10 today. And this is actually the major section of this chapter. Like you can see from shloka 19 to 42, it all covers about the vibhutis. What are vibhutis? Opulences. Yeah, so because the chapter itself says it's the opulence of the absolute, the title. So, it's like that is the major piece which is covered in the chapter. And before we start with this section, we'll just quickly go through when we talk about Krishna's opulences. It's not that it's the first time we'll be hearing in this chapter. Since the Bhakti Yoga part started, chapter 7 started, we have been, hearing the opulences of Krishna, in bits and pieces here and there. And we will highlight some of the verses which we have studied from chapter 7 itself, 7, 8, 9, where Krishna has already, he had given, he had started giving his opulence, and of course in this chapter it will be much more in detail, higher level, right? Like we studied from chapter 2 to chapter, so far, our conscious level, level of consciousness has increased, right? So similarly, when it comes to opulence, as we'll see in this chapter, it is much more described as how can we see Krishna, yeah? So just taking few of the verses from prior chapters so that it gives us an idea, yeah, that these opulences, together, putting them together. So this was the shloka we had in 7.4. I'll not go much in detail because we have covered these, but just to get a feel, yeah. So this was the shloka where Krishna mentioned, right, that there are 8 elements, yeah, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and falsehood, yeah. All these 8 together constitute my separated material energies. That's what he says, yeah. So our material body, we learned that, it's gross body and subtle body. Gross body is made up of these 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, air, ether, yeah. And subtle body, which is closest to the soul, right? It has mind, intelligence, and false ego, yeah. So these are all. This is what the material energy of Krishna, yeah. And then he spoke about, a higher energy than the material energy, in the very next shloka in 7th chapter, where he mentions that beside these material energy, there is another superior energy of me, and that is nothing but, the living entities, yeah. So the soul, right? It is a superior energy. That's what Krishna says. The soul is much more superior than these material energies, right? The material energy, right? And with this is also opulence of Krishna, right? The different energies of Krishna we are saying here, right? And then followed by that verse, these 4 verses actually in 7th chapter from 7.4 to 7.7, it shows the opulence of Krishna, that everything in material nature, he says, is made up, of his energies, And then he also says there's a superior energy, the living entity, that is also made up of his energy, one of his energy. And then in 7.6 shloka, he says that all created beings have their sources between these 2 natures only, of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. So Krishna, this is what we learned also last time, right? He's the cause of all causes. That's what we learned, right? Brahmaji's prayer and Brahma Samhita. So that is what Krishna says himself in 7.6, that he is the origin, of everything, and also the dissolution. Yeah. And then 7.7, the beautiful verse, Mataha Parataram Nanyat Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya, Mai Sarvamidam Putram Sutre Mani Dhananga. So, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. He is the ultimate truth, supreme truth. He's saying there is nothing above Krishna, and Krishna is declaring that. Yeah. And everything other than, him, everything rests upon him. him as pearls are strung on the thread. Yeah. So he's the base. Yeah. So that's what he says. Yeah. Okay. So, and then we come to 10.8. We recited this verse, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. So he again declares that he is the source of all, both the worlds, spiritual and material world. Prabhavo means everything, pravartate means everything emanates from him. Yeah. And the one who knows this worships with all their love and heart. Yeah. So again, he declares his opulence. Just imagine everything we are seeing, everything is Krishna's energy, right? It's not a small thing, right? So that's his opulence, that's his level. So, and then we will learn, in 14th chapter, where Krishna declares that he is the seed giving father. Yeah. So no matter what living entity you see, from an ant to the, highest among the demigod, which is Brahma, all these different living entities, the seed giving father is Krishna. And that's what he declares in the 14th chapter, 4th verse. Yeah. That it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature. And that I am the seed giving father. Aham bija pradapita. Yeah, he's the bij, he's the seed, yeah, of all the living entities. Yeah. So again, this is an opulence of Krishna, right? And then we learn from Brahma Samhita, yeah, that he is the cause of all causes, he is the origin of everything, yeah. And also in 8th chapter, yes, in 8th chapter we learned that Krishna is greater than all, yeah, and an only way to attain Krishna, because that chapter was attaining, yeah, attaining Krishna, how to attain Krishna. That was the title of the chapter. Right? Now, how can we attain Krishna? Krishna says here that the only way we can attain him is by love, by unalloyed devotion. Yeah. So, but although the opulence here, which he is that last statement there, that although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading and everything is situated within him. Right? We learned that, even though everything is his energy, he is in everything, he's still aloof, he's detached, he's independent, right? So we learned that whole concept, that this is inconceivable for our tiny brain, right? But that is, that is how Krishna is. He's not easily conceivable, yeah? So the next is, Krishna is, 9.17 to 19. See, in 7th chapter also we learn that he is the taste of water, he is the smell of earth, right? He is the heat in fire. So we learned even that. All the elements, Krishna is, it's his energy. And in 9th chapter, 17 to 19 verse, again we learned that he is the father, mother, grandfather, he's the syllable Om, he's the reason for rain. So he has actually given us the platform, that, these are all the, all his opulences, which he has already mentioned, right? So and then in 10th chapter, yes, we learned this, that not only about energy, about source, he also particularly mentioned that he is the quality, he's the origin of all the qualities, right, in us. So be it intelligence, anything. And how we learned that, if we are turning towards the sun, there is no darkness, right? There is no shadow, right? But if we are turning away from sun, that same thing, if you're turning away from Krishna, those good qualities which we are turning towards him turn into bad qualities. Yeah? We start seeing the shadow, right? So, so he is the origin of all qualities, and then he is also the origin of all great sages, which he mentioned, right? So, and the Manus, Manu, so he's the first of mankind, right? So, and then even though he explained all this in different places, right? In from 7th chapter until now, this shows we have just picked up some verses, but this shows how Krishna has, he has tried and he has been very vocal also. He has told, right? But still, in 7th chapter, he says that Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhe. Yeah, Kaschid Yatati Siddhe. Yatamapi Siddhanam Pashin mam vetti tattvatam. Only few, there might be many thousands of men who enter the world, but only few hardly know him in the truth, that tattva of Krishna. Hardly anyone knows it, right? The greatness, the sweetness, all of those. So and then we also learned the famous verse 7.19 again, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. There will be lots and lots of many births, thousands, millions of births and deaths, for actually, who is actually in knowledge surrendering unto him, knowing him to be the cause of all causes, and that is, such a great soul is very rare. So very rarely, it's like Krishna is in and out of everything. That understanding, it's very rare. The souls are very rare. So with that now, what we concluded last class was in the 16th and 17th verse, Arjuna actually, acknowledges, right, that he says, I param brahma param dhama, right? He says that pavitram paramam. So he accepts, Krishna, you are the supreme truth. I am this. And then what does he say? 16th and 17th shloka. Arjuna tells, requests Krishna that please tell me in detail your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. Yeah. O Krishna, O supreme mystic. Now he asks 3 questions here. How shall I constantly think of you? How shall I know you? And in what various forms can you be remembered? So 3 questions. Okay. So see, Arjuna has already accepted in 10.11 verse that Krishna, you are the absolute truth. Yeah. And then he asks, what he's asking here is to describe his opulences much more in detail. Yeah. And then Krishna lists now onwards from 19th verse to 42nd. The section covers Krishna lists his vibhutis, that is opulences. Yeah. See, anything we see, like a painting, the most famous Mona Lisa painting, right? It's like world known. When we see that, what do we think? First thing which comes to our mind is, who is the person who made this? Why? And be it a phone, right? Whose brain it must be, right? Who is the person? When we learn also the first person who went on moon, for example, who is that person, right? Who is behind this? When we see any creation, the first thing which comes to our mind is who is the person who made it, right? So then we should think also that who is the creator. These are material things, right? The example, but who is the creator of this complex eye? It's so complex in its nature, right? Our brain. At the end of the day, the person who made the phone also has a brain through which he made that, right? So who has made this brain? It cannot just exist on its own, right? Can a phone just exist on its own? No, there is a brain behind it. There is a person behind it. So who has made this brain there, right? So, and we see huge variety of animals. We were visiting, when you visit a zoo or we were visiting a bird sanctuary, and we saw so many varieties of birds. The color combinations were such that I couldn't even imagine that something so beautiful can be there, with the color combinations. So plants, flowers, when we see, so it should come to our mind, this is the creation. So there should be a creator behind this. It cannot just, there are class of people who think it just exists on its own. It's evolution, right? Scientists say. But, we have to understand that there is a creator behind this. And that's why Arjuna, for us as common man, he's asking this question for us because he was convinced back in 10.11 verse that Krishna is the absolute truth. But he's asking further to provide more details of his vibhutis so that we can start our conception. How can we relate to Krishna? How can we connect to Krishna? So that's why he's asking these questions. That how shall I constantly think of you? How shall I know you? And what various forms can I remember you in? Yeah. So it's very nice to see that he's doing such a favor on us. It's like, otherwise, how would we know, right? So Krishna then, when Arjuna asked this, Krishna might say that I already told you. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, matah sarvam prabhati. Everything emanates from me. But Arjuna is asking him that, give me more in detail, that when I see something, how do I relate it? Right? So, out of his mercy, because he is a Vaishnava, see, Arjuna is a Vaishnava, and Vaishnavas are very merciful, right? The only way we can, combat this Maya, this illusory energy, is with the blessings of Vaishnava, right? So now Krishna states his opulence in detail, and the chapter name itself is Vibhuti, the opulence of the absolute. In Hindi, it is like Vibhuti Yoga. Yeah. Now, Vibhuti are opulences, and yoga is what? How to connect with Supreme, the process of connecting, right? So it comprises of, through the opulences of Krishna, how can we connect with? Yeah. Now, one important thing to note here is also how Arjuna's attitude or mindset is changing from 10th chapter, from here, because so far Arjuna's questions were, why should I fight? Why should this be done? But now his questions are more diverted to how can I see you? So that is the change of mindset he's having. Yeah. Now, if we go give this with an example, this is just a vague example that we are giving. Yeah, that say maybe one of you, maybe Jyoti Mataji, or say you are coming, or any of you, all of you here are mothers, right? You have your own purse, right, or handbag. When you come, say you have gone out, and you are then in home, and your purse is on the table in the hall, yeah, and you are not to be seen. But your child, as soon as the child sees the handbag, they can guess mama is back, right? Why? Because this is related to mama. They connected to mama, their mother, right? So similarly, by looking at the belongings of mother, child remembers the mother, right? Similarly, in this world, looking at things around, we can appreciate the creator, which is Krishna. Yeah. So I'm able to speak now, right? How am I getting that voice, right? Thank you, Krishna, for making me able to speak, right? So I'm thinking while I'm speaking. Thank you for giving me that. So it's like every step, when we see around us, we can really appreciate Krishna. And that's what his opulence is, right? So now, yeah, so for example, these are some famous personalities, right? The first one is Sachin Tendulkar, right? So people in general, they are attracted by, when we talk about Tendulkar, are they attracted by Tendulkar or his skills? Skills, right? So they are actually, people in general are attracted to specific opulence, skills, or quality of a person. They are not attracted as such to the person as such, right? So while appreciating Tendulkar's play skills, we should be reminded that these skills are given by Krishna. Krishna is empowering him with that opulence. We all may not have all the 600, 6 opulences, 100% of all the 6 opulences. But Krishna empowers us with 1 or 2 or some opulences based on our past states. He empowers us that a bit extra. Some you will find they are very beautiful, right? Beauty is an opulence. Some are very famous, fame. That is an opulence. But nobody you can see who has all the opulence in full. right? Except Krishna. Because Krishna empowers us with specific opinions. Yeah. Similarly, other skills should remind us of Krishna. That's how we should see it. Lata Mangeshkar, she sings. She's a singing queen, or I don't know the title they gave her, but yeah, she's known as the most famous singer in this world, right? And the same, Amitabh Bachchan, right? For his acting skills. Again, these are skill sets which they have. They have been empowered with these specific skill sets. And who is empowering them? That Krishna. But materialistic people, how do they think? They, in fact, tend to worship these personalities itself. You'd see so many people, that they have Tendulkar, Amitabh Bachchan photos in their home, in their temple, and doing worship, right? So they, instead of recognizing, looking how only a devotee can see this, how to appreciate Krishna. Right? Only devotees can relate this. Okay. So similarly, when we see this beautiful nature, its creation is beautiful. So we should think, if the creation is so beautiful, how beautiful the creator must be, who is behind this, right? So that's how we should have our thought process. We should connect with Krishna. Yeah. So okay, now we'll start with today's first shloka. And this is 10.19 shloka. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Hantate Khatayishyami Divya Hi Atma Vibhutayah Pradhanyatah Kuru Shreshta Nastiyanto Vistarasya Me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestation, but only of those which are prominent. O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. Yeah? So it is not possible to comprehend the greatness of Krishna and his opulences. So Krishna knows that living entities, us with our limited intelligence, we will not be able to understand the extent of his opulence as well. Yeah, he therefore agrees to state only the main principal opulences. Yeah, the word this pradhanyatah, yeah, this is very important because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord. Yeah, not all. It is not possible for us to understand. See, this verse may make us feel that Krishna is proud. Just imagine you ask somebody, tell me about it. Oh, I have so much. I'm so opulent that I'll go on and you cannot understand. It is beyond your limit. What would you think of that person? Oh, he's so proud, right? So this verse may make us feel Krishna is proud. And someone who has a lot of ego will say such words, that my opulence is limitless. But we have to think that this is the same Krishna who is saying this in a position of a charioteer, right? So if a person has ego, will he take up the position of a charioteer if he's proud? No. There are several examples which we can give. That he has taken lowest positions for his devotees. So his actions, of being a charioteer is much more louder than his words, what we see here. He washed the feet of Sudama when Sudama visited, right? He used to carry the chappals of Nand Maharaj. He used to love serving them, right? So there are so many instances where we see, that he's so merciful, and it's not, so Krishna is not saying this as an ego, but out of his mercy, so that we are able to relate this material world with Krishna. Yeah. So, and he's trying to say that, that all the attractive things in the world, may it be the skills of Tendulkar, the playing skills of Tendulkar, the singing skills of Lata Mangeshkar, or acting skills, or anything you see in this world which is attractive, something beautiful, it is from him and his energy. Yeah. So everyone should be attracted to him, because it's his energy, rather than being attracted to those things in this material world. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So with that, we will go further. This is the 20th verse. I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and end of all. Yeah. Now, this verse itself, it's such an excellent opulence. How he knows everything of everyone. Yeah, he's sitting inside as a super soul. So he knows everything in about me, about each one of you, right? So in see, how is he sitting in us? We learned the whole process, right? That Mahavishnu from his force in Bhagavatam, I think I have mentioned this before as well, right? So the Purusha avatars of Krishna. Krishna expands as Mahavishnu, and this is whole explained in Bhagavatam. And how Mahavishnu has, from his body pores, several millions of universes come out, they are created, and when they are annihilated, they are taken in, they go back to the pores. And from Mahavishnu, they expand to Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And then, from Garbhodaksha Vishnu comes Brahma, but Garbhodaksha Vishnu in that particular universe, in each living entity expands as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. And that is called as super soul. Yeah. So we can say that Kshirodaksha Vishnu is the super soul of each individual living entity. But Garbhodaksha Vishnu is the super soul of one whole universe. And Mahavishnu is the super soul of all the cosmic material manifestation, all the universes, right? So that is how he is saying. So he is the super soul of everything. He is the beginning, he is the creator, the maintainer, and destroyer as well. Yeah. So Brahma does the secondary creation. Krishna does the primary creation. Okay. And of course, we will learn it more detail in Bhagavatam, but we will not go that much right now. Now, from here on, we will cover opulences. Even the prior verse was opulence, but now we have kind of put it in a tabulated table format. Yeah, because Krishna is highlighting, that I am this in this category. Yeah. So what does that mean? So from Shloka 21 to 39, yeah, describes a few of Krishna's infinite opulences or vibhutis. Yeah. When Krishna says that he is sun among the luminaries. Yeah. So the table which you see among the luminaries, I am the sun. That's what Krishna says. But what does that mean? It means that sun is the chief of all luminaries. Yeah. And that sun is getting that power, opulence, everything from Krishna. Okay. Even the powerful sun gets its power from Krishna's potent energy. We need to understand the opulences in similar mood. Yeah. So everything we go through next, we have to understand that of each category, there is the topmost. And that topmost is Krishna. They are getting that everything from Krishna. Yeah. These vibhutis actually, you will see, Krishna is covered so extensively that it controls the whole existence actually. Like lion controls all the other animal in the forest. Right? So Krishna is the lion of the forest. That's the mood. Yeah. And Indra controls all the demigods. So among the demigods, Krishna says, I am Indra. Yeah. I'm the person who is doing this. Among the archers, I'm Arjuna. Yeah? So the topmost, we have to understand these in such mood. Yeah. Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we start from the 21st. I am not going to go through each of the opulence because it will take quite heavy time. Like you can see in just 21st verse, we have 4 different opulences. So in that way, we have verses 21 to 39. but I would strongly recommend go through the purport. Prabhupada has given it very distinctively. Yeah. So we'll start, Adityanam aham Vishnu. So he says, of all the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Okay. Now, Adityas, I don't know, if you know, Adityas are the son of Aditi. Yeah. Aditi and Kashyap. So, Kashyap Muni, we will also study this in Bhagavatam, that Kashyap Muni was married to Aditi and Diti, both sisters. Yeah. There were other sisters, but these two were sisters. Aditi gave birth to Adityas, and Diti gave birth to demons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Yeah. So, and there were 12 Adityas, and all of those 12, Vamana was one of those. So Krishna came in Vamana avatar. So Krishna here is saying, of all the Adityas, I am Vamana. Of all the luminaries, I am Sun. Of all the Maruts, I am Marichi. Again, Maruts is nothing but wind. Yeah. So scriptures actually state that there are 49 Maruts. Yeah. And Marichi is the most powerful of all of them. So Krishna is saying, I am Marichi in that. Yeah. And then of all the Vedas, Samavedas. Yeah. Now we know there are different Vedas. Now Samaveda, why? Because it specifically glorifies Krishna in maximum of its verses. It's all about glorification. That's why Samaveda is taught by. Yeah. So of the demigods, like we discussed, Indra. Of the senses, mind, because we learned it's the most difficult. Yeah. Of the living beings, I'm consciousness. Of Rudras, I'm Shankara. Of Yakshas and Rakshasas, I'm Kuvera. Of Vasus, I'm Agni. Yeah. Now Vasus, I don't know. There are 8 Vasus. Yeah. These are nothing but the 5 material elements. And the other 3 are sun, moon, and star. Yeah. And Krishna states, that fire is him. Yeah. That is needed, right? See, fire is the most important, because even when we eat food, to digest the food, we need fire. It's most important. Yeah. And of all the mountains, I'm Meru. Meru mountain is known for its richness in its natural resources. Okay. Similarly, the next slide of the Brahaspatis. Brahaspati is, of the priests. He's Brahaspati. Now, who is Brahaspati? Brahaspati is actually priest of demigods. It's the topmost position of a priest. Okay? Yeah. And then commanders, of all the commanders, and Kartikeya. Yeah, because Kartikeya is the chief commander of the demigod army. Yeah. So for us to see, this helps us to really relate and connect to Krishna, right? Because all these are prominent things which we see around, quite a lot of these. And how we need to connect with Krishna. Krishna is saying, this is me. No, it's all my energy. Of the water bodies and ocean. Can there be anything as vast beyond ocean? No. Right? Of the great sages, I'm Bhrigu. So Bhrigu is actually one of the Sapta Rishis. Yeah. And I don't know if anybody of you know the story that it was Bhrigu Rishi who wanted to test as who is supreme. And he goes first to Brahma, then Shivji, and then to Vishnu. And then he concludes that, yes, Vishnu is the greatest. He's the supreme among all. So, it's a very interesting story, how he offends one by speech, one by mind, and one by action. And with Vishnu, he performs it with action. He puts his leg on top of the chest of Vishnu. And still Vishnu does not get angry. So so it's a beautiful story. So, and then he said, of all the vibrations, I'm Om. And the next one is very important, Yagnanam Japo Yagnosmi. Of all the sacrifices, I am Japa, chanting, right? And that's what we learn, that the sacrifice for Kali Yuga is, and Krishna knew when he was saying this, right? So of all the sacrifice, it's, what is the topmost? Chanting is the topmost. Of all the immovable things, I'm Himalayas. of trees and banyan tree. See, this word here actually, Ashwataha, Sarva Vrikshana. Ashwataha can be used for banyan tree or peepal tree. Yeah, but both the trees have vast, huge roots and they are gigantic trees. Right? They are really huge, yeah? Giving shade to many entities. And we will also see in quite a lot of customs, they perform prayers to these trees, banyan tree and peepal tree. Also, yeah, so they are auspicious. Among the sages, among demigods, and Narada. Yeah, no, so he's the top, we know. Gandharvas and Chittaratha. Yeah, Gandharvas actually they lived in the upper planet than Earth. You know, Gandharva. Yeah, and they are very famous for their singing capability. Yeah, so this Chittaratha is the most melodious singer in Gandharvas. You know? And then perfected beings and Kapila. So I think some of you might know that Kapila is actually incarnation of Krishna itself. And in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a huge section, where about Kapil Muni's preachings, yeah, to his mother Devaki. Yeah? So, okay. Further, of the horses and Uchchishrava, actually this horse Uchchishrava, this was the horse which came out of that pastime of Samudra Manthan, which happened, and then of the elephants and Airavat. Airavat also came out of Samudra Manthan. And we know that he's the vehicle of Indra, right? Of men, I am king. Yeah. Nobody can be top further to king, right? So of the men, I am king. Of the weapons, I'm thunderbolt. Of the cows, I'm Surbi or Kamadhenu. They never run out of milk, profusely. Yeah. So of the causes of procreation, lust for producing progeny, Kandarpa, right? So see, Krishna had mentioned this even in the seventh chapter, that I am the sex life of those who follow the religious principles, right? So if you are responsible for getting progeny per religious principles, that's what he says, I'm that. And then of the serpents and Vasuki. Vasuki also was used as a rope in Samudra Manthan, right? And many hooded snake and Ananta. We know that Ananta or Ananta Shesh, he has thousands of hoods. And Krishna's opulence glories are so much that it said that since millions of years Ananta, from his thousands of hood, he's glorifying, but still he has not reached the end. It's happening. So that's the level of the glories of Krishna. Of the Varuna, of the water bodies, I'm Varuna. Of the ancestors, I'm Arema. Of the dispensers of law, I'm Yama. Yeah. So nobody can be as much into the law as much as Yamaraj. Yeah, he's responsible for that. So of the demons, I'm Prahlada. So Prahlad Maharaj, we know he came in the family of, whom does anybody know? Prahlad Maharaj is the grandson of, Prahlad Maharaj. Sorry, just give me one moment. Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj is the son of
Hiranyakashipu.
Yes, Hiranyakashipu, right? So he was born in a devotee in a demon's family. Right? So subduers, time, Kala. It is the greatest subduer. Yeah, we have sometimes family subduing us, sometimes friends, but time is eternal. It will always. It is the strongest subduer. We cannot win from. Yeah. Of the beasts and lion, of the birds and Garuda, of the purifying agents and wind, Holder of weapon, I'm Rama, Parshuram. See, it can refer to both because Parshuram killed with the weapon 21 times Kshatriyas, right? And Rama also, when he came, he killed many demons with the weapons. So it can be holder of weapon, either Rama, Parshurama, or even Balram. Yeah. Of fishes, I am shark. Yeah. Of river, I am Ganga. Of creation, I am beginning, middle, and end. Of knowledge, I am the topmost. Again, spiritual knowledge. Of arguments of logicians and conclusive truth. See, there are many arguments, which you will see around you. And quite a lot of times you see that most of them are false. People argue with no proper base, and there's a falsity in that, because they want to win, right? But Krishna says no matter how much falsity is there, the winner in the end will be truth. And Krishna represents that truth. Yeah, that's the conclusive truth. And then, so we have, I think, 3 more slides with the opulences. Of the letters, I am A. Nothing can be, without that letter, right? So compound words, I'm dual compound. Destroyers, I'm time again. Of the creators, I'm Brahma. Of the deaths, I am death that devours everything, including memory. Future manifestations and the birth, generating principles. And of the women, if you see fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience, a woman with all opulence is representing Krishna. Okay, that's what he says. Yeah. Samaveda hymns. So we learned of the Vedas. Samaveda is the right, but within the Samaveda there are various hymns which glorify Krishna, right? And it is Brahat Sam. That's the topmost hymn, and that's him. Okay. Of the months, I am November and December, Margashish, and you would see this is the most of the places. This is the best month, and there is actually one whole. There is an extensive description also in Bhagavatam of only this month in particular, and of the seasons, spring, even with this, spring is the most beautiful. And we also see some description in Bhagavatam. So I'm the among the cheaters, it's gambling, it's the topmost. Nothing can be again. Of the splendid, I'm the splendor. Endeavor, if you put the endeavor, I'm the victory. Of the strong, I'm the strength. Of the descendants of Rishni, he came as the descendants of Rishni. I'm Vasudeva. Right? Of the Pandavas, I'm Arjuna. Among the sages, among demigods, I'm Vyasdev. Of the thinkers, I'm Shukracharya. Yeah. So, see, Shukracharya is actually, he was the priest of demons. Right? And in Bhagavatam, there is a story, right? That Bali Maharaj story. Bali Maharaj was the guru of Shukracharya. Shukracharya was the guru of Bali Maharaj, right? And when Vamandev came, Shukracharya alerted Bali Maharaj that this is Vishnu in disguise. Don't get into his words. Don't. So he's the priest of the demons, Krishna. So, and then of the means of suppressing lawlessness and punishment. Among the victory seekers and morality, of the secrets and silence, of the wise and wisdom. And of all the existence, I am the generating seed. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. This is the conclusion. Yeah, 39 verse. So Krishna gave 82 examples of his opulences across both. Yeah. And now I hope we can correlate why this chapter, is especially highlighting about opulences. Yeah. This is how, anything we see, may it be strength, may it be beauty, may it be anything, Krishna is saying that's me. I'm the person who is giving that power, that opulence. It's my energy. Yeah. So that's very important for us to comprehend. Okay. Now the law. We have 40, 41st, and 42nd verse left. So the 40th and 41st. Jyoti Mataji, will you be able to read this?
Yes, Mataji. No end to Krishna opulence, O mighty conqueror of enemies. There is no need to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but O mere indication of my infinite opulences. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Bhagavad Gita 10.4041. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. So Krishna is saying that there is no end and his opulences are infinite. And what he's saying, we went through so much, and he's saying this is just a mere indication of my opulence. He's just indicating it there. Yeah. So, and again, see, quite a lot of places we see so many times that Krishna is, in a way, repeating the message. Why? Because of our intelligence level, so that at least we get it theoretically. Again in 41st verse, he is highlighting, know that anything opulent in this world, anything beautiful, anything glorious, are nothing but his spark. Just a spark of his splendor, not the splendor itself also. It's just a spark, right? It's just like a tiny sun ray of the sun, right? So that is him, right? So anything that attracts us is him. It's just our consciousness. We should not get attracted with the thing, but we should be able to see what's good. It's Krishna. We should be able to see it as Krishna's energy, Krishna's hand in it. Yeah. So, so anything which makes us feel pleasant, happy, amazed, makes us feel love, right? Anything, then think how much more splendorous Krishna is. He can be, right? If it is just the spark of it. There was one of the small shorts come, right? I was hearing that a disciple of Prabhupada in West, they were traveling somewhere and they were waiting in the airport, for their departure. And the person, looks at something very beautiful and says, wow, this is so beautiful. And then he realizes Prabhupada is next to him and he just shies away and and then Prabhupada tells him that just think, if this is so beautiful, how beautiful Krishna is, who is the creator behind this, So that is how our thought process should be. Yeah. So see, just correlating it with more examples. Okay, if you could unmute and tell me, what is cheetah known for?
Running fast.
Come again?
Running fast.
Yes, fast run. What is, when we think of mango, what do we think? What comes to our mind? I want others also to participate. When you think of mango, what comes to your mind? It's an easy question.
Fruit.
Yeah, but what quality of that fruit?
Sweetness.
Sweetness, right? When you think of Aishwarya Rai?
Beauty.
Right. When you think of Albert Einstein?
Mind. Intelligence.
See, all these qualities, right? When we see a cheetah, the speed, when we see the beauty of Aishwarya Rai, when we see the intelligence of a scientist, when we see the sweet taste of fruit like mango, this is actually an exercise for us to see and understand how we need to see Krishna in everything, how God's connection is everywhere. All these qualities are, these opulence of each of these things, may it be a thing or a human or an animal, the opulence is coming from Krishna, right? So how we should be able to understand how we need to see everything with God's connection. And that's why it is Vibhuti Yoga. Yoga is connection, right? We need to see everywhere and in everything, Krishna's connection. Yeah, Krishna's hand is in everything. Okay, and that is what this chapter is teaching us. Okay, now just coming to the last verse. Okay, Kavya Mataji, will you be able to read this?
Yes, Mataji. All pervasive soul. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Bhagavad Gita 10.42. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you. So he's telling Arjuna, you know what? Again, after explaining everything, what is the need for all this? Just understand that this is all what I have explained is just by my single fragment. Yeah. And that single fragment, as see, like I said, as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, this is actually unbelievable and inconceivable for us. That how Garbhodaksha Vishnu's navel Brahmaji comes out, So, but this is a fact, and this much is how great God is, how great Krishna is, Can you believe these scriptures? See, it's not just that they are just in there. No, everything is a fact in there. It's our faith. It's all about our faith. For example, does anyone of us know the size of the universe, exact size of the universe? The scientists are still, going on and on with it, right? No, but in Bhagavatam, it's clearly mentioned that it is 4 billion miles in diameter. Similarly, it took so much of time for our scientists to conclude that, Earth is spherical, right? But it's a bhugol, right? Sorry, it's a bhugol, right? But the Bhagavatam, which was written thousands of years ago, it's already in there, right? That it is. Same thing with the development of a baby in the womb. Everything is mentioned in Bhagavatam. As this month, this happens. This month, this happens. And, it's like, these scriptures, this teaches us how, that to have our eyes open, to really make us realize that, it's the scriptures which can give us more information, right? That kind of open our eyes for Krishna. Yeah. So this chapter teaches us, you can put it as how to meditate or keep thinking about Krishna with our open eyes, because we need to see things around, right? And that should be such that everything is related to Krishna. That is how we can meditate with our open eyes. Yeah, how to see and acknowledge God's presence and His mercy by looking at things around us. Yeah. So just a quick top points as what this chapter taught us. First is we always learned Krishna is great, but now we know how great He is. Right? That's what we said in the beginning. So this chapter gives us that, right? And then this chapter taught us that how to meditate on God with open eyes, how to connect everything around us with God, right? And also, we see how Arjuna has a change of mindset in this chapter. So far he was thinking, why do I have to do this? I'm trying to learn Gita, but now he is saying that how he's trying to share the knowledge with us, right? And trying his questions will be like helping us, that he's just not taking the information for himself. He's asking those questions to share that Gita knowledge with us. And this is a lesson for us, that like Arjuna is preaching us, giving Krishna's message, right? We should also be, if we like a message, we kind of tend to share it immediately, For example, you get a message in WhatsApp, yeah, maybe a picture, a message, something. If you like it, immediately you share it with everybody, right? So we should, from our end, share Krishna's knowledge with everyone, like Arjuna is sharing here with us. Yeah, and then we learn to see the God's connection, right? And we help people also to see that connection. So with that, we conclude today's session.